let's decorate a disco ball cookie together. You'll start this cookie by piping 4 curved lines, 2 that are curving up and 2 that are curving down, that are roughly the same-ish distance apart on the sides. I didn't have a turntable for my cookies for years before I first started decorating, and now I don't know how I ever didn't have one because I turned my cookie so much, and I realized that while editing this one because I get one curved line and then I'm like, okay, let me do the other side, flip it over, which is the only way I feel like I can get it right. But we're going for a disco ball, right? And so disco balls are globes. We want to bring some of that shape into this cookie. So after we have those 4 curved lines one direction, we turn it 90 degrees, and we want to do the same 4 curved lines going the other direction. And if you have a very cruel mess up of your piping bag, like I did right there, where my line was perfect and then the icing didn't break at the end and instead decided to flop onto my cookie, it's fine because we're going to cover this all with icing anyways, most of it being white icing, but even if it's a colored icing, it's going to cover that line. We don't need to worry about it. If you are worried about it, you can always grab your scribe and kind of like scrape that section off so you don't have to redo your entire line. And if you don't get completely even lines, which you can see mine are not completely even, I could have come in with a ruler or something to get 4 dots on, I'm going to say sides of the cookie. I fully understand cookies are circles and so they don't have sides, but I think you can understand what I mean if I say side of the cookie. So I would have those even lines, but it's all going to work out. We're making a disco ball cookie. I then like to come in with my scribe and scrape a little bit of the sides ends of these lines off because I'm going to go around my cookie with an outline. So that'll keep all of my icing in when we move on to the step after this. And I just don't want to have some of that extra bulk on the side of the cookie. And like I almost always do, I'm going to go around this cookie multiple times. And I also, you'll notice, I am not placing the icing directly on the cookie from the piping bag. My piping bag is lifted a centimeter or 2 off the cookie so the icing is flowing out. I feel like I can have some good control when I'm placing my lines this way. Sometimes I feel the complete opposite, where I have absolutely no control when placing my lines when it's falling out of my piping bag. I don't know, explain the physics to me if you can. Next, you're going to grab a colored icing. I chose pink for this, but there's also blue in this full set. There's yellow in this full set. I'm not going to refer to white as a colored icing because that's going to be the rest of our disco ball. And we're just going to do a few squares in this colored icing. I think I did 4 on every single one of these, and it wasn't the same exact square every single time. And then I'm coming in with my scribe to just make sure that I'm getting to the corner, to the edge of my square that I'm filling in. And I'm just kind of choosing squares that aren't directly next to each other because one, I don't want my squares to blend together. I want to create some dimension. We put those lines on this cookie for a reason, but I also want to use the color as kind of like the reflection type sparkle you see in a disco ball because we're not putting any sort of luster dust or sparkly sprinkles on this cookie, although you certainly could. If you wanted to add luster dust, do a couple of puffs of a silver luster dust onto every stage of this cookie. That would look so cute, but I didn't want to make it a requirement because not everyone has luster dust and you don't always want to have a bunch of random items available. And as you can see, I did not choose to do a colored square into every single column, every single row. I'm just choosing kind of what feels right as long as they're not right next to each other. And I also didn't need to use my scribe to even out every single square, but I did use it for probably about half the squares. After that, you're going to grab your white and you're going to fill in every square you can that is not touching one of the colored squares, so isn't directly next to one of the colored squares, because the corners can be slightly touching. You just want to be careful that you're not overfilling your square. There's a really fun fine line of underfilling your square and not having enough icing, and overfilling your square and the icing running over the sides of the lines, and particularly in ones where the corners meet, they could overflow and the icing could blend together too well. So you really want to respect those corners. And we're making sure that there's space in between each of these squares because we want to keep the dimension from the lines that we placed first onto the cookie. And in order to keep that dimension, you have to make sure you're not piping fresh icing directly next to fresh icing. So we're going to decorate this cookie in a few stages. What I would recommend you do is you do the first step on a cookie, you let this dry, you let it crust over while you go to work on another cookie. I mean, if you're making multiples of the disco ball, then if you're making 6 of them, you could do the first base onto a cookie and then move on to the next one, do the first base onto that cookie, move on to the next one. By the time you finish the 6th cookie, you could easily go back to the first one and start the second step. And you might be thinking, wait, isn't the second step adding the white? I can see where you would get that. I have not labeled these step numbers. But in fact, you are going to let your cookie crust over a little bit, and then you're going to come back to add more white. Because once it's crusted over, once the icing has gone a little bit matte, then you can put new fresh icing next to it, and you will keep that dimension. I also just want to point out to that little line that totally got messed up when I was initially piping it, how I said, it's not going to matter, no one's going to notice it, we're going to cover it with icing. You can see it's already half covered with icing, and you can also see how much puff that icing has. That line's going to disappear. So I have set this cookie aside. You can see it's matted over a little bit. I like to use the term matted over versus crusted over because matte is the visual look of it. You can see it's a very different level of shininess compared to the fresh icing, especially as I pipe this on. It will become very apparent whether it's next to the pink or whether it's next to the white, because this fresh icing, very, very shiny, very reflective of the light above, and the matted icing, there's a little bit of a reflection, but it's not as glossy as it was. So for this stage, again, we're making sure we're not putting fresh icing directly next to fresh icing, but we can put fresh icing next to matted icing. And I'm going to do the outline of the square first. Now I'm not like piping an outline with a line. I'm just filling in the corners, and then I'm going to fill in the center just because I don't have to be as precise with it, especially with these sharp corners. I want to keep those as sharp as possible. But I'm going to fill in any square that I can that either is directly surrounded by all matte icing, or I can hit a corner of the glossy icing. And we're going to be decorating this cookie in what I would refer to as 3 different parts. So we did the first part, which had the lines, and then we had the pink squares, and then the initial white squares that we could put on that weren't touching any fresh icing. The second stage is putting on more of the white squares. We're not going to add any more colored squares at this point. You certainly can. I did a test and I felt like too many colored squares kind of overwhelmed the design and you lost focus that it was a disco ball, but to each their own, and I think it's totally worth trying. When I was first starting cookie decorating, I would go in with absolutely no rhyme or reason and just be like, I want to try it. I want to try it. And you know what? It's still a cookie at the end of the day and it still tastes good. So it doesn't really matter how it was decorated, if it looked good or if it didn't look good. But oftentimes the experimenting can leave you with a really cool result. And so experiment away. Decorating a cookie like this is also what I really enjoy about cookie decorating. It has a pretty straightforward design, but it is going to take some time to decorate it. But that time has like an excellent payoff versus if I'm doing something highly detailed that takes 4 times the amount of time, but I feel like just looks okay in the end. It just doesn't have the same payoff. Whereas this, simple to decorate, You can kind of get into a Zen mode of, okay, I'm filling in a square. If I need to grab my scribe, I can grab my scribe. I can move my icing to the corners, and then I'll move on to my next square. So I'm just going to leave you, as I have literally nothing else to say about this process. We're going to keep doing it. I'm going to leave you to enjoy watching it without listening to my voice. All right, I'm back because we set this cookie to dry, to mat, to crust over, and now we have 5 squares left that we need to fill in, and we're going to slowly fill in those squares before we can move into step 4 of decorating this cookie. The next step, we are going to grab a colored icing different from the one that we used on the cookie, and we are going to turn the cookie to areas that are dried already. So I had at least a third of my cookie that's completely dried. I'm taking my yellow, I'm doing 4 dots in a rough square, and then I'm going to do curved lines, the lines curving towards the center of those dots. and I am going to create kind of like a star shape. After that, I'm going to grab my scribe and just push some of my icing into each tip of that star shape so I can really elongate it and give it a little sharper point than I'm able to just piping on the icing. And what we're doing is adding a little dazzle mark onto our disco ball, and we're gonna do 2 of those. If you like one, you can leave it at 1. Again, you're always welcome to kind of take your own adventure with this. I liked having 1 large one and 1 small one, and again, each of these little sparkles are going to be on dry parts of the cookie. So with your breakdown, if you ended up not having a section that you could put this on, then you'll want to set this aside again and come back when that has matted over, when it's crusted over. Otherwise, these sparkles are just going to sink into your other wet icing. That's what we would call wet on wet, and that's not what we want to do. We want every single piece of this to have some dimension, except I'm going to contradict myself very shortly because for the small one, we're using our scribe, spreading it out, and then I'm going to grab the white icing and I'm just going to put a dot onto each of these. And we are going to do a little bit of wet on wet because we want our sparkle to have some reflective glimmer into it as well. This barely shows up. It's a very minor detail, but that leaves us with our disco ball. The 5 cookies in this set are the disco ball, smiley face, bride, flower, and corset cookie. Give it a try. Let me know what you think.